Welcome, everyone, to Truth and Freedom Podcast, where awakening begins with asking the question most people are afraid to ask. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Amzallag, and this is not just another podcast. This is a journey into awareness, courage, and truth. Now, today, we're talking about one of the hardest yet most liberating choices you're ever going to make, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of those words that sounds peaceful in theory, but feels impossible in practice. Because to forgive means to let go of the story, the pain, the resentment, the justification for why we feel the way we do. Now, it means also releasing the need to keep replaying the past as proof that we were wronged. But here's the truth. Holding on doesn't punish them. It punishes you. Bitterness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to suffer. Now we tell ourselves, I can't forgive them. They don't deserve it. But really, forgiveness was never about deserving. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of what happened. You're not excusing the behavior. You're simply choosing not to carry the pain any longer. Now, forgiveness is a radical act of self-respect. It's saying, I refuse to let this memory control how I feel, think, or show up in the world. Now, sometimes the person you need to forgive isn't someone else. It's really yourself. Now, for the choices you regret, the words you wish you hadn't said, the times you stayed too long or didn't speak up when you should have. Now, we often treat others with more grace than we offer ourselves. But healing begins the moment you stop seeing yourself as the villain of your own story. You were doing the best you could with what you knew at that time. And if you knew better, you would have done better. Now, forgiving yourself doesn't erase accountability. It reclaims your power. It means you no longer define yourself by your lowest moment. When you forgive, you shift from being a victim of the past to being the author of your future. You release yourself from an invisible prison you didn't realize you built, one made of anger, resentment, and should have beens. Now, forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, not a switch. Some days you'll feel at peace. Other days, the wound may ache again. But every time you choose peace over bitterness, you heal a little bit deeper. You can't change what happened. You can only change what you decide to carry moving forward. So just ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that holding me back? Is it a betrayal you never saw coming? A friend who disappeared when you needed them most? A parent who couldn't give you what you deserved? Or maybe it's the weight of your own past decision. Whatever it may be, it's time to lay it down. Not because it didn't matter, but because you do. Now, forgiveness is a freedom. Freedom from living in reaction. Freedom from allowing pain to dictate your peace. And freedom from the constant replay of what if. And when you finally let go, something powerful happens. The space that pain once occupied begins to fill with clarity, peace, and even gratitude. Because you realize that the very thing that once broke you also built you up. You become softer, yet stronger. Wiser, yet kinder. More compassionate, not just towards others, but towards yourself. And here's a beautiful irony. When you forgive, you don't lose power. You regain it. You're no longer defined by the story of your hurt, but by the strength of your healing. So if you're listening right now and there's still someone you need to forgive, even if it's yourself, take a deep breath. You don't need to rush the process. You just need to start it. Because forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's remembering without pain. And once you reach that point, you'll discover a truth that changes everything. That peace isn't something you find. It's something you create. And it begins with letting go of the past. Now, this is your moment to release what no longer serves you, to open your hands, to open your heart, and to finally experience what it truly means to live in freedom. Because forgiveness is not the end of your healing, it's the beginning of your freedom. Now, stay tuned for more truth on our next episode.